Ready? Good evening and welcome to Primetime News on Mitv. I am Victor Daniels. In the news, President Bola Tinubu has tasked the new sworn-in INEC chairman, Professor Joas Amobito, integrity of Nigerians' elections and strengthen the institutional capacity of the electoral body. President Tinubu gave the charge on Thursday at the State House in Abuja after they administering the oath of office to the new INEC chairman during an expanded session of the National Economic Council. The president said that Mupitan's nomination and subsequent confirmation by the Senate underscored the confidence reposed in him by both the executive and legislative arms of government. He noted that the new assignment demanded integrity, dedication and patriotism as the eyes of the nation would be on INEC under the leadership. He urged Professor Amobito to see his appointment as a call to service at a defining moment for Nigerians' democracy and to work tirelessly to improve the electoral system, address past challenges and innovate for the future. Amobito succeeds Professor Mahmood Yakub, whose tenure as INEC chairman ran from 2015 to 2025. The 58-year-old academic outlined his plans to reform Nigeria's electoral system, strengthen institutional independence and rebuild the public trust in the commission at the screening.
Of government. The significant achievement marked the beginning of a challenging yet rewarding journey, and I trust that you will approach your responsibilities with the highest level of intention and patriotism. Our democracy has come a long way in 25 years. We have consolidated and strengthened our democratic institutions, particularly our electoral system, through innovation and reforms. We have learned a great deal along the way and have improved significantly from where we were many years ago. We must now remain committed to the principles that underpin democracy in a complex, multifaceted.
So I will reaffirm what I have just taken, that I'm going to defend the Constitution and the laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as far as it relates to the electoral system. And like the President said, I was given a clear charge to ensure credible, fair and free election. Not just that I will ensure that that is done, I'm also going to, because no matter how you set the barometer and the level of success.
President Kashim Shettima has assured the Nigerian Union of Journalists (NUJ) that Tinubu administration remains a strong ally of the media and is committed to protecting press freedom and promoting journalism in Nigeria. Speaking during a meeting with the NUJ leaders at the presidential villa, Shettima emphasized the government's recognition of the media's vital role in democracy and nation building. This must not be intimidated or silenced. He acknowledged the economic challenges facing the industry and pledged the continued support from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who described as a long-standing friend of the media. The Vice President reiterated the administration resolve to reposition the economy and underscore the importance of responsible journalism. They highlighted the key concerns, including journalist safety, outdated laws criminalizing journalism, and the need for government-backed support frameworks. He also called for the establishment of a permanent government media license platform and reaffirmed the union's support for the Tinubu's administration while maintaining the press constitutional duty to hold a power accountable.
Over the years, and I want to assure you that the present administration will do its best to promote, project, and preserve the interests of the journalism profession. You are the live wire of the nation. We can't afford to muzzle you. And I cannot pay in ignorance of the travails. First generation Nigerian leaders, from Haban Macaulay to Nnamdi Azikiwe, even to Obafemi Awolowo, they were past journalists before they became political leaders.
Excellency, of this visit to highlight some of the critical issues that we face in the course of our practice as journalists. A, press freedom and protection of journalists. Your Excellency, it is an ally of democracy. The media remain not just the pillar of democracy, but indeed the oxygen. Yet Nigerian journalists will face unlawful arrest, harassment, and intimidation. We call on your office to take a firm stance in defending press freedom and ensuring that journalists are not punished for doing their constitutional duties. We believe that under your watch and with the support of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, this administration can be remembered not just for reforming the economy, but also for protecting every freedom that guarantees a stable, informed, and united Nigeria.
The Senate has passed for a second reading bill seeking to repeal and reenact the Electoral Act 2022, signaling another major step. And during the plenary, Senate President Godswill Akpabio and urged the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to ensure that the future elections are free from controversy and reflect the will of the people. Supporting Akpabio's position, Senator Siraki Dixon, Bayelsa West, argued that the burden of proving the credibility of an election should rest on INEC and not on political parties or candidates. Senator Adams Ashimale, Edo North, also emphasized the need for politicians to stop enabling young people to engage in electoral violence, and while other lawmakers, including Senator Ojo Zokalo of Abia North, Adamu Alero of KB Central, and Ali Ndume of Borno South, called for a full deployment of technology in line with global best practices. And after extensive debate, the 2025 electoral bill was passed for a second reading and now proceeds to the committee stage for further legislative scrutiny.
INEC sometimes believes strongly that it doesn't have much when it comes to electoral matters, because it is assumed that whatever INEC does is perfect. So this time around, the INEC must be held responsible, because they are the ones that have the electoral materials and they are the ones that are in charge of logistics and all. So we must give them some responsibilities in court to prove that yes, indeed, their actions were legal and their actions were in tandem with the will of the people. And then I must also commend Nigeria for the improvements in the Electoral Act, that in Africa, we're even the first to submit to presidential electoral victory even before the announcement of the final elections.
Secondly, our political parties are the biggest challenge to our democracy. We have to look for a way by which we can introduce some regulation and control on their behavior or undemocratic. The burden of proof in electoral matters, Mr. President, must shift to INEC. That is where it rightly and properly belongs. We should not subject it to the normal evidential rule that says he who alleges must prove. How can you prove something you don't even know? First, we should resolve, each and every one of us, and also collectively, that as elected persons, we as senators shall not, directly or indirectly, secretly or openly, aid and abet unemployed or semi-employed people and arm them to disrupt elections. If we reform our character, this problem is 90% solved. In Edo State, sir, I launched one man, one vote, one woman, one vote. At the end of the day, and as of today, it is now possible to do election without cutting dead bodies.
We are in a haste to pass the Electoral Act, and we shot ourselves in the foot by removing senators, members of the House of Representatives, governors, and the deputy governors, state assemblies, elected officials from being members of the delegates. I think it was a very important omission, and we should try as much as possible to bring all elected members into the delegate list.
The House of Representatives has launched an investigation into over 1.8 billion US dollars in grants Nigeria received from the Global Fund and USAID between 2021 and 2025 to combat HIV, tuberculosis and malaria. Philip Agbeshe, who moved the motion, also highlighted that Nigeria received more than 6 billion US dollars from the US President's emergency plan for AIDS relief during the same period to support HIV/AIDS efforts in strengthening health system. Correspondent Linda Ike reports that Agbeshe expressed concern that despite his significant funding, Nigeria continues to face a heavy disease burden, warning that without a proper oversight, the country risks meeting the UN Sustainable Development Goal to disease by 2030. The House has mandated the relevant committee to investigate the grants used and require the coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare to submit an implementation plan and approvals for grant expenditures.
The House notes that the Global Fund to fight AIDS, tuberculosis and malaria, established in 2002, aims to mobilize resources and accelerate global effort to end these epidemics, particularly in regions like sub-Saharan Africa. Also notes that Nigeria has received an estimated $1.8 billion in grants from the Global Fund between 2021 and 2025 to combat HIV, tuberculosis and malaria. Additionally, over $2.8 million has been received from USAID between 2022 and 2024 to address health challenges such as HIV, malaria, polio, and tuberculosis. Aware that the US President's emergency plan for AIDS relief, PEPFAR, contributed over $6 billion to Nigeria from 2021 to 2025 for combating HIV and AIDS and strengthening health and community.
It's called for an urgent need for intervention on recruitment recurring tanker explosion across the country that follows the recent accident at Esa village in Kacha local government area of Niger State, which tragically claimed over 30 lives and left more than 40 others injured. Saidu Abdullahi, who moved the motion, is concerned that the continued neglect of the vital highways has resulted in frequent gridlocks, destruction of goods, and while turning the road into a death trap for motorists, tanker drivers, and traders. The House asked the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing and Federal Road Maintenance Agency, FEMA, to immediately mobilize resources and contractors to commence a full rehabilitation, expansion, and completion of the roads.
further concerned that the continued neglect of this vital highway has resulted in frequent gridlocks, destruction of active hours, and severe hardship for commuters and residents, while turning the road into a death trap for motorists, tanker drivers, and traders.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has moved to investigate the use of hazardous chemicals, formalin, and embalming substances to preserve frozen foods in Nigeria. This followed concerns raised by Chike Okafor about poisonous chemicals being used to extend the shelf life of frozen fish, meat, and other perishable, posing a serious health risk including cancer and developmental issues. A brief in the newsman after the plenary on Wednesday, Okafor criticized the regulatory agencies for failing to enforce food safety laws despite existing regulations like the Food Safety Bill 2023 continue to endanger consumers, especially with imported frozen foods and unsafe restaurant practices. The House directed its committees to probe the issue and called on ministries and agencies such as the NAFDAC and SUN to explain their roles with a report due in 6 weeks.
A huge number of Nigerians are already suffering from liver damage, kidney failure, and there's a noticeable increase in the number of children who are suffering from autism. And the cause of this is not far-fetched. If as responsible chairman of a committee on nutrition and food security, I felt the need to get the strength, to get the empowerment of the House to be able to launch an investigation into these very obnoxious, very dangerous practices on the part of these Nigerians who are dealing on foods.
Similarly, House of Representatives has also called for the urgent need to investigate for urgent security and loss of lives in the Federal Capital Territory. Amobi Olga, who moved the motion, noted that despite the CCTV project secured with a Chinese loan of $460 million, the impact of it is not felt in Abuja. The House, however, set up an ad hoc committee to investigate this monumental financial investment without a commensurate result.
The House more concerned that despite this huge investment, as well as the financial burden Nigeria is subjected to by way of servicing this loan, the impact of the CCTV is not felt in any manner. Rather than abating, crime rate has soared in Abuja, leading to daily reports of deaths arising from unmonitored crimes around the
billion naira to states and primary to basic healthcare provision fund 2.0. Announcing the disbursement in Abuja, the coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Prof. Muhammad Ali Pate, said the Ministerial Oversight Committee aims to improve health service delivery, support facility operations, and access to quality care across the country. And Pate described the new BHCPF 2.0 guidelines as a milestone in Nigeria's health. ICPC will ensure transparency and accountability in fund utilization. He highlighted a significant progress in the sector, million visits recorded at the primary healthcare centers in the first half of 2025, a fourfold increase from 2023. Preliminary data also shows a 12% reduction in natural mortality within the same period.
By federal government working together with states and with the support of our development partners, and a system is gradually improving and delivering quality basic services to millions of our population, particularly our women, our children, and those who are vulnerable. That is good. At the end of the day, 32.9 billion naira will be disbursed now based on the new Basic Healthcare Provision Fund 2.0 guidelines, which had been approved by the MOC. The guideline, which has been launched, what the primary healthcare centers will get.
The federal government of Nigeria has expressed concerns over extrajudicial killings after Nigeria in South Africa by the Dudula anti-immigrant movement. Bianca Ojukwu, the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, voiced the concern during the Nigerian-South Africa consultations meeting in Abuja. The meeting was co-chaired by South Africa's Deputy Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Thandi Maraka. Ojukwu decried the slow pace of justice for victims of the incidents and noted that despite the long-standing historical and fraternal ties between violence and discrimination against Nigerians in the country continue to surface. Correspondent Linda Ike reports that the Thandi Maraka, South Africa's Deputy Minister of International Relations, recalled Nigerian support during the South Africans' liberation struggle and said the government is addressing the challenge. But both countries emphasized the importance of strengthening bilateral ties in key sectors, including trade and investment, energy, mining and solid minerals, and technology. A memorandum of understanding was signed by both countries on an early warning mechanism aimed at strengthening the communication, improving response to emerging issues, and preventing the future misunderstandings.
This engagement is a reaffirmation of the long-standing and strategic partnership between our two nations, a partnership grounded in a shared history, mutual respect, and a common aspiration for peace. The strong fraternal bond and excellent relations by a combination of key factors which historically began with a shared anti-colonial and anti-apartheid struggle and have evolved into a contemporary shared ambition for African leadership and development. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this event provides an opportunity for the senior officials of our two countries to review the level of implementation of the agreed minutes of the last BNC under the Political and Diplomatic Working Group.
The Nigeria-South Africa Binational Commission that was established in the year 1999 remains the cornerstone of this partnership that we continue to witness. Held in Cape Town in December 2024. Our two heads of states reaffirmed South Africa and Nigeria's commitment to deepening cooperation in the following fields: in the field of trade and investment, in the field of energy, in the field of mining and technology, and also in the field of defense.
The psychiatric experts have emphasized the urgent need of psychiatric hospital. Yaba Dr. Lugbenga Owoye made a call while leading the discussions at the hospital's 8th annual scientific conference, themed Artificial Intelligence and Mental Health Research Carrying the Third World Along. Dr. Owoye noted that AI has become an indispensable tool across all sectors and, despite its advantages and limitations, hold a significant potential to advance mental health care in Nigeria. He observed that with a national population exceeding 200 million and fewer than 300 certified men, other speakers at the conference echoed his views, stressing that adopting the AI-driven solution would bridge the gap in mental health service delivery and support the evidence-based research for a better patient outcomes.
I am pleased to inform you that the agency has completed its online radio platform called Electoral Spotlight, which will further expand our reach and deepen public awareness. I congratulate you all for being part of today's historic mini launch of the first social health insurance online radio in Nigeria. The implementation of the executive order will soon commence. What matters now is to keep you informed of the steps LASHMA has taken to ensure that 2026 remains a firm takeoff year. During this session, you will receive updates on our progress in the last quarter as it relates to the executive order implementation. Distinguished guests and members of the press, while LASHMA continues to work tirelessly under the leadership of Mr. Governor to ensure the sustainability of the state social health insurance scheme, we have observed some unwholesome practices by a few residents that threaten the integrity of the scheme. Consequently, the agency has reviewed its policies to protect the scheme's long-term sustainability, preserve service quality, and support the state government's goal of achieving UHC.
So the executive order, I'm just going to be giving highlights, so very quickly. So for the executive order, there are two pieces of legislation that we need to consider, and that's the NHI Act of 2022 and the LSHS law of 2015. The LSHS law establishes the Lagos State Health Management Agency. It also establishes the Lagos State Health Fund. And why it is important is because, one, it makes LASHMA, the Lagos State Health Management Agency, the custodian for social health insurance in Lagos State. And the second reason why it's important is because the Lagos State Health Fund is a fund that is ring-fenced by law. And what that means, and why that's important, is that it means that the law stipulates how monies that go into that fund are spent, and they will be spent on healthcare services. So that's why that's important. So the second piece of legislation is the NHI Act of 2022. And essentially, it makes social health insurance compulsory. It makes it mandatory, if you will. So that's why it's very important.
The Nigerian Export-Import Bank, NEXIM, has urged export-oriented small and medium enterprise SMMEs across the country to form business clusters in order to benefit from the bank's Export Credit Facility and Development Fund. A managing director of NEXIM Bank, Abba Bello, who was represented by the head of Lagos Regional Office, Daniela Jurikre, disclosed these at the opening of a one-day seminar on export potential for selected small-scale enterprises in Lagos. A head of specialized business in NEXIM Bank, Mohammed Awami, explained that the available funds are designed to boost SME growth, create jobs, and increase Nigerians' foreign exchange earnings, and while contributing to the gross domestic product (GDP). Speaking on the theme, revitalize the non-oil export sector and enhance its contribution to national revenue and economic development. The seminar aimed at improving access to export financing and strengthening the MSME's export clusters across Nigeria.
To work out a collaborative working relationship with respect to the environment.
The Lagos State government says its commitment to ensuring every resident of the state has access to said these at the year 2025 Q3 media parley to unveil the Electoral Spotlight online radio platform, as well as discuss the agency's progress activities. She emphasized the importance of the mandatory social health insurance scheme, which was signed into law by Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State in July 2024 to ensure residents have access to universal health coverage. The permanent secretary highlighted the agency's telemedicine service, which allows residents to consult with medical professionals remotely, while apologizing for recent challenges with its ICT platforms, citing the ongoing system upgrades aimed at enhancing service delivery. The technical assistant to the permanent secretary, Dr. Nifasimi Akinagbe, said that LASHMA has conducted extensive sensitization in partnership with other government agencies, public figures, media organizations, as well as groups to create awareness on the scheme. He said that over 367 healthcare providers and 765 trained agents now serve as enrollment points under the Electoral Academy, adding the agency will continue to focus on full enforcement is expected in
Pleased to inform you that the agency has completed its online radio platform called Electoral Spotlight, which will further expand our reach and deepen public awareness. I congratulate you all for being part of today's historic mini launch of the first social health insurance online radio in Nigeria. The implementation of the executive order will soon commence. What matters now is to keep you informed of the steps Lashma has taken to ensure that 2026 remains a firm takeoff year. During this session, you will receive updates on our progress in the last quarter as it relates to the executive order in Mr. Governor to ensure the sustainability of the state social health insurance scheme. We have observed the agency has reviewed its policies to protect the scheme's long-term sustainability, preserve service quality, and support the state government's goal of achieving UHC.
So the executive order, I'm just going to be giving highlights, so very quickly. So for the executive order, there are two pieces of legislation that we need to consider, and that's the NHI Act of 2022 and the LSHS law of 2015. The LSHS law establishes the Lagos State Health Management Agency, also establishes the Lagos State Health Fund. And why it is important is because, one, it makes LASHMA, the Lagos State Health Management Agency, the custodian for social health insurance in Lagos State. And the second reason why it's important is because the Lagos State Health Fund is a fund that is ring-fenced by law. And what that means, and why that's important, is that it means that the law stipulates how monies that go into that fund are spent. Social health insurance compulsory. So that's why it's very important.
The Lagos State government has held a crucial meeting with the chairman of 20 local government and 37 local council development areas (LCDAs) in Lagos, aimed at addressing environmental challenges with a major focus on waste management, market sanitation, and flooding across the state. At the meeting held at Alausa, the Commissioner for the Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab, emphasized that waste management must become a culture, advising that it was the high time to take full responsibility for the environment, pointing out that they are closer to the people and understand the root of the problems. Wahab said that Lagos is moving from the linear waste system to a system where waste becomes a resource. As such, all the LGAs and LCDAs must collaborate with the state to tackle all environmental issues in order to reduce the quantum of waste that ends up at the landfills. As Secretary to the State Government, Bimbola Salo Hodein addressed the broader impact of environmental issues. The chairman of the Conference 57 and chairman Ibeju Lekki LGA says on louder the stakeholders' engagement, saying all the 57 chairmen had been working to ensure a cleaner and sustainable environment in Lagos through a proper waste management across metropolis.
To work out a collaborative working relationship with respect to the environment, transport issues, drainage issues, waste management, street trading, enforcement, and all sorts. So we have their input, just like an engagement with them. And the input is to enable us to know where the gaps are. And they're giving us where those gaps are. So we plug them out, collaborating with them, because they are at the local level. We are commencing enforcement, and we shall remove every reclamation done without your drainage clearance and your EIA. We shall statewide. And that's about the only way we can restore back the ecosystem that is causing the flooding. Because when you don't have a design to discharge your storm water.
The Nigerian Institution of Surveyors at a building for registered and practicing surveyors in order to align with the current realities in the profession. The Vice Chairman of the Lagos State branch of the Nigerian Institution of Surveyors, Olukayode Ogundare, stated this on Thursday in Lagos at the 2025 Mandatory Continuing Professional Development (MCPD) and National NIS program for all registered surveyors to update themselves with the current realities in evolving innovations and applications of technology like artificial intelligence (AI) in the profession. Ogundare said that capacity building will enable practitioners to update themselves with the current trend as technology keep evolving in every profession. and the urgency to align with the task ahead. On the theme of this year's capacity building workshop, intelligent flood hazard and vulnerability mapping, he said the surveyors provides the data and useful information needed to examine the flooding situations and measures to mitigate such incidents. The 2025 Professional Development Featured Presentation on Surveying Business and Government Policy, the new tax law by a tax practitioner, Abayomi Abiona, who said the new tax law, which will become effective on January the 1st, 2026, affects surveyors and everyone who earn income. He stated that everyone needs to have knowledge of the content of the new tax law to be on the right side of the law.
This team look at how, if a flood occurs, what are measures that we can put in place so that there will not be reoccurrence. So intelligent flood hazard mapping, it has to do with how you are proactive, in the sense that you intentionally simulate a scenario where there is flood. Then you look at what can be done to mitigate it. That is what this team want to train our member. So intelligent aspect of it has to do with how you will use technology, softwares to solve this problem. You know, we are in the era of digitals. So we bring digital into the system so that we can have a fast approach to solve the issue of flood.
As we all know that in Lagos State, we are banded with water, and sometimes when we have heavy downpour, everywhere is submerged, we have flood everywhere. This training has exposed us to the role we, surveyor, can play in the hazard
industry, because they make profits, they make income, they make revenue, they have expenses, and they need to support government, with the appropriate taxation. So it affects the practitioners, it affects the employees of the industry, it affects the company owners of the industry. More importantly, they need to know what the law says and be on the right side of the law. The law says that once you operate in Nigeria and you make income in Nigeria, you must pay taxes. And there's need for the stakeholders I've just mentioned earlier on to understand the importance of standing on the right side of the law and to do the right thing. First and foremost, it will place them in a position to avoid unnecessary.
The Yoruba Assembly, a coalition of all, expressed the deep concerns over escalating insecurity and political instability at a conference themed Democracy and the Future of the People. Speakers emphasized the urgent need for unity, regional empowerment, and purposeful. The chairman of the Yoruba Assembly and former federal lawmaker, Honorable Wale Shun, urged the state governors to channel increased federal account allocation initiatives and fertilizer distribution and equipment procurement, or the traditional rulers to maintain unity and avoid public discord. The human rights activist Razak Lokoba decried the growing insecurity across the Yoruba and faulted the regional leaders for failing to adapt and other monarchs to close ranks, warning that internal divisions only embolden external threats. And similarly, Comrade Adewale Adeoye described the Yoruba, Ishekiri, and Kogi territories as under siege. Representative of the Ishekiri people, friends noted with a strong appeal to the federal government to restructure the 1999 Constitution, preserve the legacies of Yoruba forebears, and ensure
our chairmen at local government levels, our governors at the state levels, to help us translate. This is the essence of all the grammar I've been talking since. It is not to condemn anybody, but to say that the potential to grow our economy, the potential to create pass through Niger Delta and target the oil companies in that area. So we have a very big challenge in our hands. So we cannot leave everything to the government.
It's not a joke. There's a particular INEC group. What the armory they have in Lagos is like equal to what the military have. Some Yaro party, 3 slots. I say partial insecurity. No organization was consulted. But there should be collaboration between the people, organization, and the government. If you want to secure your land, at the point of so Ọ̀ní àti Aláàfin. Ẹ parí ìjà wọn by force ní àdàlábà, àwa Yorùbá àdàlábà, ẹ parí ìjà yín. Ẹ pe àwọn ọba lọ́ba tó kù, ẹ foríkorí. Tí political consciousness bá ń lọ, Fúlàní ò ní wà ìlú yìí o.
What to believe has been corrected. And I assure you that we have been doing before now, we will still continue to do. So that at the end, where we ought to be, we must. It's a must.
In a bid to tackle the various business barriers confronting Nigerian small and medium enterprises, SMMEs, and enhance their competitiveness through integrity and good governance, the Financial Reporting Council (FRC) has called on SMEs to register under its Business Integrity Certification Initiative (BICI). Speaking at the inaugural meeting of the FRC Advisory Committee on Business Integrity Certification Initiative held in Lagos, the Council stated that the initiative is designed to strengthen 4 opportunities under the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. The head Directorate of Corporate explained the BICI seeks to promote a credible governance practices and supportive development of corporate governance guidelines tailored to SMEs. Other speakers at the meeting also emphasized the need for SMEs to adopt the global practices, uphold ethical standards, and promote integrity in all business dealings.
Once they are registered with the FRC and they to subject themselves to this corporate governance reporting process, it encourages them, and it's a way of assessing the progress of their businesses based on best practice in corporate governance. It's a way of them to assess themselves, to know how well they are doing, to know where they are weak, and make necessary adjustments. The corporate governance reporting portal such a way that they are self-assessing themselves. So at the end of the day, the results they are seeing is just based on understanding what they've been doing and how it's been working, whether it's sustainable, and then to note the areas where they should improve. And as they keep on subjecting themselves to these assessments, when they are comfortable, they can go on to the certification process, which exposes them to grants, to more business opportunities, to support from government agencies like the SMIDAN and CBN and so on. They get exposed to all these opportunities where they can be supported and their business can be taken out of Nigeria.
Integrity pays. Watch this space. Out of integrity, you can actually prosper, even in an environment like Nigeria's business environment.
Once you're certified with this, like I said, it gives you a badge of compliance, which means you've gone through an extensive self-assessment process. It's an independent self-assessment as well. And once you've been able to scale through that process, it just shows that, you can get preferred bidding, probably preferred interest rates as well. And just makes your due diligence process much faster than it would have been without the certification. So definitely very encouraged. I will encourage everyone to join into the website. It's free for the next couple of months, so take advantage of it. And
in their business, it's also project their visibility to local and international markets, especially the essence. So the integrity is a value that will attract potential customers. Simply put as.
Now, so every AFCFTA awareness effort we do would also require that those companies comply with BIC. And for a change, Nigerian companies will take a message of doing business with integrity, doing business the right way, doing business with absolute accountability. We'll take that message to the rest of Africa through, doing business through the AFCFTA.
Stakeholders in the environmental, agriculture, and public health sector have cautioned that Nigerians' growing interest in the industrial animal farming could undermine the nation's public health system and threaten its food sovereignty if urgent safeguards are not implemented. The warning was issued during the media training on industrial animal farming and its implication for Nigeria, where participants expressed concerns that the country's new partnership with JBS, a multinational meat corporation, may exacerbate environmental degradation, displace the smallholder farmers, and heighten vulnerability to public health crisis. The program manager at Health of Mother Health Foundation, Joyce Brown, revealed that the $2.5 billion five-year investment deal signed with Brazilian meat processing giant JBS in November 2024 includes plans to establish 3 poultry plants, 2 beef processing plants, and 1 port facility with Ogun State serving as a key hub, while the Niger State has offered 1.2 million hectares of land for the project. And although the government views the partnership as a boost to agribusiness's potential, a coordinated food sovereignty program, Friends of the Earth, Nigeria and Africa, Miriam Bassi Olsen, warned that Nigerians risk replacing or replicating the damaging effect of industrial livestock system seen elsewhere. Bassi Olsen emphasized that the future of food in Nigeria is at stake, calling for policymakers, citizens and social movement to collaborate in protecting full industrial agricultural models. Executive Director, Health Beyond Barriers Initiative, Abimbola Shola Gwade, also raised concerns that Nigerians' already fragile health system could face additional strain from disease linked to industrial livestock production such as Ebola, pox, COVID-19, rabies, and Lassa fever. In his presentation titled Spotlighting the Impact of Industrial Agriculture and Frontline Communities in Nigeria, Maiwa Shobo, Program Manager at Header Resources Center, called for the government investment in health centers, flood control, and early warning system.
Where the interest of Nigeria is not being taken care of, we need to stop. Then we need to ask questions, and that's where we also look at public institutions. How well are we able to access their efficiency? You have the nationals of this world under the Federal Ministry of Environment, and in most cases, in different reports, about them. How do we help them, to be more efficient at what they do? They are doing a very great job. It's not a very easy job, but we need more transparency, from them.
So we are saying the history of factory farming does not speak of anything good. It comes with stories of woes, even with the so-called jobs they're trying to create. Our people don't get the managerial posts. They are mere ants. They are the industries. They are the gatesmen. They are the gatekeepers. They don't take the top executive function. They bring in their people. So we are saying our lives matter. Our food also matters. Our environment is our life. Do not destroy. And our government, we should be us the primary concern, not the corporations.
The government to pause on these engagements with JBS to look at the case studies from other countries, as we have seen stories from Australia, we've seen stories from USA, to look at these stories and make sure that we have due process, due diligence done, which would conducting an environmental impact assessment and also looking critically at to how local communities put measures in place to ensure adequate support for local farmers, for local livestock producers.
There are so many things we have not actually known, or maybe in passing we don't have the deep knowledge about industrial animal farming. And today it's actually exposed us to seeing that despite the fact that we have benefits in this thing, there's so much disadvantages, especially when it comes to the issue of environmental pollution and the health hazards. A lot of things have actually today, they actually stem from that area. And it's a call to everybody that we need to rise up right now and tackle this issue headlong, so that all this issue of sicknesses, diseases will come to Nigerian team.
And we now take a short break where we'll come back, we'll take some stories in sport. In foreign, sorry. And welcome back in foreign news. 23 people have been arrested in Dublin, an Ireland, following the second night of unrest outside a hotel used to house asylum seekers. The disturbance followed the arrest of 6 people at the previous night, and after the demonstration against the government immigration policies turned violent. A footage posted on social media showed demonstrators hurling missiles and fireworks at the police. The police said the 2 officers were taken to hospital for medical attention, and after one was struck in the head with a bottle and another suffered an arm and shoulder injury. The Irish Justice Minister then briefly and professional to the thuggish violence. Protesters have gathered outside the City West Hotel in Saget, West Dublin, since Monday in response to the arrest of the 26-year-old man over the alleged sexual assault of a 10-year-old girl. And we'll now take a short break. Where we'll come back, we'll take some stories in sport. Welcome back in sport. Liverpool are assessing a potential general transfer for Antonio Semenyo of Bournemouth as the concerns grow over Mohamed, and both Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur reportedly monitored Semenyo during the previous transfer window, but Liverpool are now seen as the front runners to reach 70